Hi, welcome to Module 4. Um, so this week we are going into applied phonetic transcription. So with this, our module video is really very inclusive with the production and or the applied phonetic transcription. This is where we dive very deeply into some of the rules that don't naturally make sense in our head, right? They're the things where we're talking about, like in our quiz this last week, where we talked about eggs versus seats and that final sound. What is that final sound, right? So one of the examples is if we have that voiced sound at the end, although it's written in English like a s, you as a human do not turn off your voice. Now, that does not mean sitting here, you can't do it yourself. I can say eggs and I can turn off my voice consciously. But if I say I went to the store to buy some eggs, I don't turn off my voice at the end of it, right? So thinking about that natural speech progression overall. Um, the other area that our module goes into is the sound So talking about the schwa sound, our backwards C, and then our as in fox. Now, I will say, as a person who has an accent and has done a lot of accent modification therapy for myself, these sounds are hard. They're hard to understand. So when you're thinking about these sounds, it really goes into the emphasis for our schwa and our caret sounds, right? So when we're talking about our schwa in pickup, the emphasis is on the I sound, right? So we come up. When we're talking about our caret sound, we go butter, but and that's where our emphasis is, right? So not emphasis on the sound makes a schwa, which is your upside down E, and then you utilize your caret when the emphasis is on that sound. We talked similarly about the two sounds with the schwar and the backwards three R. Same thing. We're really thinking about emphasis. Now, again, these concepts are great to know, but they're easy mistakes to make overall. So understand that vowels are the hardest part to understand, especially since your brains are wired to think about English letters, not the IPA. So give yourself some grace with the vowels and really understand that it's going to take some time. Okay, the next one is ah, and we talked about this one last week. So we have our backwards C, ah, versus like that lowercase a. So ah almost feels like I always think of it as a diphthong at first, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not a diphthong. So it's often spelt as OUGH in English spelling, right? As in bought, bought. So it you hang on to it longer versus if we have our A, that's where we have the sound is short, as in fox. Okay. The next one is the ng sound, ng. And this sound is in words like thank. Let me pull up some other words so we can hear it. One website I really like overall is Home Speech Home. And it has a lot of what's there? Yeah, Home Speech Home. They have a lot of word lists for articulation. And what I like is it just kind of gives you, it will give you at times an easier way to say all of the sounds, or like you can practice them really nicely. Like let's say you're really struggling with hearing this sound for our consonants. So we can go in and it says, okay, so doesn't exist at the beginning of words, but it does in the middle. So I can hear it in anger, anguish, banging, bangle, England, English, finger. Okay, and then if we're looking more towards the end, bang. And that's where you can see that a little bit more. These middle ones are more important for you to really understand, because that's how it's written. That's how I feel like I hear it and feel it the best in my mouth is when it's in those middle positions. So if you're having a harder time with those sounds, I would suggest looking at these lists. Another sound that was consistently hard for some people was our j sound. So that voiced sh, voiced sh. So with that, we can see some words. There's not a lot of we need syllables usually to produce it, right, in our language. So casual y is in there, collision, composure, and then if you're practicing this afterwards, you can segment your sounds and really practice making that sound as well. This is always a good way to just get your brain thinking about it if you're thinking about the sounds in this way. It's a website that I use all of the time for articulation therapy. They have an app as well. It's called Word Vault. You can get it for free and it doesn't have pictures, or you can pay, I don't know how much money, to get pictures. I utilize it without pictures at this point. I haven't really felt the need for pictures. Um, we also go into intelligibility, right? In this module where we talk about what is an utterance. An utterance is a word, sentence, or phrase that serves as a turn in a conversation. Each sentence is its own utterance. With that, we look at the mean length of utterance when we're getting language samples often. Intelligibility is how well you can understand someone's speech. And this is determined by their production of accurate phonemes, right? So how well do you understand them? And sometimes, I know for me, I have a coworker that I'll bring a speech sample to and I have them rate it. Because my ear is a little bit more tuned to children with incorrect speech sounds. So I'll have them listen to it. Sometimes I go to like an older grade level because they're not used to all of the speech patterns. And we just, hey, can you just listen to this and rate, like, did you understand that? Did you not? And go through it together. And it really makes it a comprehensive. Then the other teacher understands what I'm doing. I try and pick a teacher that I work with another student that has articulation, right? And then they're understanding my why and how speech works, and I'm developing their skills. But also, they're helping me out with an evaluation. So yeah, I think that's always fun. For our quiz this week, you want to make sure that you can go from transcription to English writing, and then from English in a multiple choice question, pick out the answer. What is this? Which transcription? Right? So with this, if you look at it and you're like, I don't know, stop, think, and take a second. First, start with your consonants, right? Your consonants are a little bit easier. You should have all of your consonants kind of in your brain. You will be able to cross out one answer automatically, right? This one is for sure not right. I know there's not a at the end of that word. That one is not there, right? So make sure you're going through your answers systematically and using some test taking strategies while you're doing this. It helps, and there's no reason not to. It's how you figure out your IPA while you're going. For our module 4 assignment, I sent everyone an example of the first statement. I think sometimes this can be a little bit more difficult. Let me get the share. So this is the same message that I sent everyone, but this would be the expected utterance, right? So what I did was I took that and I wrote it out, and then I took my what the child said and put it under. Hold on, let me move this. Now, typically I do this in handwriting first, and then I will type it up. I like to write it out and cross it out and like really be able to line things up. But it's very easy to do on the computer as well with spacing. So right here, I can see that this student said B, light year, tutor. Okay. Now, if I'm looking at my original production for the first one, that's buzz. I can see that they didn't put anything there. They took away the Z sound. So to denote that, I have a negative slash Z. So this is what the production was versus what the anticipated production would be. Now, light year is the same. And then let's look at scooter. Scooter, we have scooter to tutor. With that, we take our sk and it goes to t. We will talk more about what this process is, how this happens later in the course, But right now, that's what we're identifying. To sk, or no, sorry, sk, to t, overall, right? So you're paying attention to the consonants. You're more than welcome to pay attention to the vowels, but the consonants is where you're going to find your 11 errors. Because again, typically our articulation and phonological errors are with consonants, not vowels.
Can I ask a question on that?
Please.
When I was looking at that, I initially interpreted um, omitting the S and substituting the T for the K, but is that because it's a consonant blend?
You're doing a great job.
Or,
You're just one step ahead of the class. So you're
oh,
thinking onto like phonological processes and the way that that actually happens. You are more than welcome to write it that way. Not everyone has taken the courses that you've taken already that would allow you to have all of that knowledge. So that is exactly what happens. We would have
oh, okay.
consonant cluster deletion and then a fronting of that sound.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So, no problem. Love it. Um, okay. And then office hours. Oh, the other thing I wanted to make sure we mention is the syllabus reminder about the late and missing assignments. Overall, please remember this is a 3 credit course. I understand it is online and it's easy to think that you can multitask at times and not devote the time to the course. Going to let you know this is a foundational concept that you will have multiple courses build off of for the rest of your speech language pathology, like not even your education, into your career. And having a deep understanding of this material will positively impact you later. Not spending the time to learn it will hurt you in your career. In addition to that, make sure that you understand that you're only allowed to have up to 4 late and or missing assignments. Each assignment that you have late receives a 15% grade reduction for each day it is late. And that's for your assignments, your quizzes, your discussions. If you skip the assignment, you receive a 0. And you cannot turn in the midterm or final exams late. If you exceed the 4-day policy, when you turn in your 5th late and or missing assignment, quiz, or discussion board, you receive an instructor-initiated withdrawal from the course. You will need to retake it another semester. After the 45th day, when you turn in your 5th and late and or missing assignment, it will result in a failing grade for the course and you will need to retake the course another semester. If you are sick, provide me a doctor's note. I love teaching this course and want the ability to teach everyone and have everyone come out of this loving it, right? So I understand sick. I know the flu goes around. I understand a lot of situations. So make sure you're communicating if you are having a difficult time or if there's something that you need overall, okay? Thank you very much.